October 19th, 2025. 9:30 in the morning. While tourists were snapping selfies in the corridors of the Louvre, 4 men executed a theft so calculated it became the hottest news worldwide and exposed deep flaws in the Louvre's security systems. In 8 minutes, just 8 minutes, they would walk out with 88 million euros of irreplaceable history. The story began weeks earlier, in the suburbs of Aubervilliers. The group, which was led by a 40-year-old taxi driver and motorbike stuntman named Abdoulaye N, moved its heist equipment in stages. They did this in a way that wouldn't trigger suspicion. The first piece of equipment was a stolen truck. They loaded it with a truck-mounted furniture elevator, the kind you see every single day, hauling couches and mattresses up the narrow staircases of Parisian apartments. But this one had a very specific destination, the first-floor balcony of the Louvre, facing the Seine. Abdoulaye and his crew, including Ayed G, a 34-year-old Algerian national, knew something that should have kept the museum's security team awake at night. They knew that the Galerie d'Apollon, the room that holds some of France's most priceless treasures, was vulnerable. It had blind spots. And using this information, they set strict timings to carry out the heist in just 8 minutes. Up they went, creaking against the museum's riverside facade in broad daylight, visible to anyone who happened to glance out a window. But since nobody was anticipating any theft, no one paid attention. When they reached the first-floor window, Abdoulaye took out a simple disc cutter and then sliced through the glass like he was cutting through plastic wrap. The sound must have been incredible. Metal on glass, sparks flying. But in the noise of the city, nobody heard anything worth reporting. Inside the Galerie d'Apollon, they moved with precision toward their targets, 2 high-security display cases. They shattered those cases with 2 strikes, like they had rehearsed it 100 times. The glass exploded, and the items were now open for grabs. The first set to go was the Empress Marie-Louise's collection. Then, the Queen Marie-Amélie and Queen Hortense's set and the reliquary brooch. These pieces that had survived wars and revolutions were now in the hands of men who had spent less than 5 minutes inside the building. Another significant relic they grabbed was the Empress Eugenie's crown, encrusted with over 1,300 diamonds. In their haste, Abdoulaye dropped the crown and damaged it. And since they were pressed for time, they left the crown, grabbed their high-powered motor scooters, and fled the scene. The thing about perfect crimes is that they require perfect silence. And they require that luck stay on your side. Today, luck was on a bicycle ride. The alert came from a cyclist, not the state-of-the-art sensors, facial recognition software, or any of the sophisticated security apparatus. To this passerby, the mechanical elevator standing against the museum's facade just didn't feel right, so they picked up their phone and called emergency services. Police arrived within minutes. Seeing that the authorities were upon them, the thieves accelerated their scooters into traffic, merging with the flow of Parisian cars and mopeds. 8 pieces of irreplaceable history, 8 items worth 88 million euros, went with them. What happened next was a reckoning. Investigators uncovered that only 39% of the museum had modern CCTV coverage. Abdoulaye's team had exploited the blind spots, slipping through the 61% of areas where cameras couldn't reach. The Galerie d'Apollon itself had its cameras positioned to protect the optics, to give the appearance of security to tourists and donors, not to actually catch theft. Patrice Faure, the Paris police chief, sat in the French Senate and faced brutal questioning. Senators wanted answers. How did this happen? Where was the security? And Faure had to admit the truth. The Louvre had known for years that it was vulnerable. Years earlier, a comprehensive security audit had identified these exact vulnerabilities, and from it, they knew what needed to be done. But the money that could have upgraded cameras, improved windows, and enhanced security infrastructure was diverted to public projects. And then there was the staffing problem. Union representatives had been complaining for years about cuts to security personnel. During peak hours, the gallery was understaffed. The Louvre, in its arrogance, had chosen aesthetics and budget cuts over security. And it had paid the price. The Brigade for the Repression of Banditry, the BRB, took control of the investigation, and prosecutor Laure Bécaud led the hunt. The first breakthrough came from forensic evidence. DNA fragments found on the broken glass at the breach point matched Abdoulaye N., and he was arrested on October 25th, just 6 days after the theft, in the Paris suburbs. But they didn't stop there. A few hours later, Ayed G was arrested at Charles de Gaulle Airport while trying to leave the country for Algeria. By late November, the investigation had expanded. Forensic connections, DNA traces, fiber evidence, and links to the storage units where the scooters had been kept led them to 2 more suspects, Slimane K and Rashid H. I know what you want to know. Were the jewels recovered? Nope. Those 8 pieces of irreplaceable history were gone. 6 months have passed. 4 suspects are in custody. The case remains open because the museum still has no idea where its jewels are. The authorities speculate that the precious stones may have been recut and the precious metals melted by master craftsmen. The consequences rippled outward. Laurence Descartes, the director of the Louvre, resigned. An institution that had stood for centuries, that had become synonymous with cultural preservation, became a symbol of one thing: failure. The Louvre theft became a deafening wake-up call, not just for France, but for the entire world. 8 minutes, a furniture lift, a disc cutter, and the complete exposure of every comfortable assumption an institution had settled into. History doesn't protect itself. Treasure doesn't keep itself safe. Someone has to show up. Someone has to invest. The Louvre learned that lesson the hard way. Want more stories like these? Hit that red button and subscribe so you never miss a video. And turn on notifications so you won't miss any story that matters to you.